He called me from the number we buried him with. And the voice on the message? It wasn't just his. It knew something I didn't. I stood in my kitchen, hands trembling, voicemail still echoing in my ears. Jake, it's me. I don't have long. Don't trust anyone, especially Dad. It wasn't a prank. That voice, cracked, breathless, whispered through static, was Danny's, my brother. Dead 3 years. Shot in a robbery gone wrong, body identified, funeral held. Closed casket. I was the one who signed the papers, and yet, there it was. A timestamp from last night. His voice, my name, and a warning that cracked the floor under my feet. I replayed it over and over until I memorized the breaks in his breath. I called the number back. Disconnected. I Googled it. Nothing. Burn number. Clean. Gone. My girlfriend, Megan, stepped into the room. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I opened my mouth. Closed it. Ghost. She had no idea. It's nothing, I lied, swallowing the panic. Just a weird robocall. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, counting the spaces between memory and nightmare. Danny teaching me to throw a football, Danny stealing Dad's car at 16, Danny disappearing for 2 days, coming back with bruises and no explanation. Danny, pale and still, in a casket I wasn't allowed to open. The next morning, I drove 2 hours out to the cemetery. Plot 46, row 12, grass trimmed, stone clean. Jacobson, Daniel L., 1992 to 2022. I crouched. You better be dead, man, 'cause if you're not... My voice cracked. Anger flushed hot under my skin. You owe me answers! I pressed my hand to the ground, cold, still. Then a shadow passed over. I turned. A man stood 10 feet away, sunglasses, ball cap, watching me, not moving. I rose slowly. You visiting someone? I asked, heartbeat thumping. He didn't reply, just turned and walked away, calm, like he'd seen what he came to see. I didn't follow, but I did take his plate number. That night, I hacked into Danny's old laptop, still kept in my closet like a shrine. Most files were gone, wiped, but one folder remained, buried 3 subdirectories deep. Atlas. I clicked. Only one file, a short audio clip. Jake, if you're hearing this, something went wrong. Don't go to Dad. Don't believe what he says. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen. Danny knew something. Something that got him, or didn't get him, killed. This wasn't grief anymore. It was a puzzle. And someone didn't want me putting it together. But I was done being quiet. I opened a fresh notepad, wrote one word, why, then underlined it, and started digging. The first lead came from the license plate. It belonged to a rental, paid in cash, rented 3 days ago from a dingy lot on the outskirts of town. The clerk barely looked up when I flashed a fake badge I bought online last year as a joke. Said his name was Richard, he mumbled. Didn't talk much. Wore a hoodie, like he didn't want to be seen. Did he say where he was going? Didn't have to. He left a map in the car. I paid him $100 to look the other way and took a picture of the map. 3 places circled. 1 already visited, the cemetery. The second, an abandoned rail yard. The third, a motel off I-75. I chose the motel. It was one of those places that stank of bleach and regret. I paid for the room next to the one registered under the name E. Daniels. I waited. At 2:43 a.m., I heard a knock next door. A man's voice. You got the drive? A second voice, muffled. Half of it. The rest when I see my brother. My heart stopped. Danny. I leaned closer to the wall. A crash, a grunt, then silence. I ran out the door, around to the next room, kicked it in, empty. Window open, curtain fluttering. But on the bed, a flash drive taped to a note. For Jake. Back in my car, I plugged it into a burner laptop, a folder labeled Journal, Videos, Dozens. I opened one. Danny, sitting on a motel bed, hair longer, thinner, eyes sunken. They lied to us, Jake. Dad especially. I found out what Atlas really is. It's not a company, it's a cleanup operation. People disappear, and not just me. Another video. He knew I'd run, so he faked my death, told me it was the only way to keep you safe. But it's all a lie. Everything he said. He's using me. Then a name I hadn't heard in years. Check Charlotte. Charlotte was our cousin. Went missing when we were kids. Supposedly ran away, never found. I sat back. Was this about her? Was she the first? A soft ping interrupted my thoughts. An email. From a hidden account. Just coordinates. And a message. Tonight. Bring the drive. No one else. I copied the location. An industrial district, long shut down. I wasn't sure who I was anymore. A brother, a pawn, a weapon. But I was done asking questions. It was time to act. And if Dad was at the center of this, he had no idea what was coming. The warehouse was colder than I expected. Rust flakes drifted from the ceiling like snow. Chains swayed in the dark, groaning with every gust of wind. The coordinates led me to a back entrance, half collapsed, reeking of mold and metal. I stepped inside, flashlight cutting through dust. Jake! I turned so fast I almost dropped the light. There he was, Danny. Alive. Taller, leaner, hollow-eyed, but real, not a ghost. I didn't move, neither did he. Say something only Danny would know, I said, voice hoarse. He smiled, tired, sad. You cried when I broke Mom's angel statue. You said it was watching you sleep. I lowered the light. I should have hugged him. Instead, I asked, why? He sat on a crate. Because Dad needed someone to disappear. You could have told me. I tried, but I wasn't sure who to trust. Not even you. That hit harder than I expected. You think I'd side with him? You used to worship him, Jake. We both did. Until I saw what he really was. I paced. Tell me everything. He did. Atlas was a shadow operation, buried beneath one of our father's companies. Officially, it specialized in asset recovery. Unofficially, people, whistleblowers, liabilities, anyone who could damage the Jacobson legacy. Charlotte tried to expose him. She found files, proof. She was 17. I sank to the floor. She didn't run away? Danny shook his head. She vanished, like they told her to, or they made her. And you? I got close. Too close. I threatened to go public. Next thing I knew, Dad staged the robbery, hired a look-alike corpse, paid off a coroner. Boom. Danny's dead. I pressed my palms to my face. It was too much. Too fast. He kept me underground. Said if I played along, he'd leave you alone. I believed him. I was a coward. I looked up. Why reach out now? Because he's getting sloppy, and you deserve the truth. We sat in silence. Then Danny added, he's still watching us. Always is. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. One word, leave. I showed him. He nodded. See? But I wasn't afraid anymore. I stood. We take it to the board, the press. We expose everything. Danny hesitated. They'll come for us. I'm done hiding. Suddenly, footsteps. Not one set, multiple. Coming fast. Danny grabbed my arm. Run! We bolted through the side, out into the yard. Flashlights cut through the fog behind us. I dove into my car, engine roaring. Danny barely made it in before I peeled out. Behind us, tires squealed. A black SUV in pursuit. He looked at me. We need help. I didn't respond. I was already thinking 3 steps ahead. Because this wasn't just about survival, it was about justice. And I knew exactly where to start. We hid in plain sight. A downtown hostel. Cheap, anonymous. No IDs required. I used cash. Danny stayed off the grid. Every mirror became a threat. Every passing car, a question mark. But I wasn't running anymore. I was recruiting. Her name was Talia, former intern at Dad's company. Fired 2 years ago for unauthorized access. What they didn't know? She downloaded 83 gigabytes of confidential archives before they wiped her badge. I found her through a burner subreddit, Atlas Fall. She replied to my message with a time and place. A dive bar, music too loud for wiretaps. She spotted me first. "You look like shit." "Thanks. You're the one meeting a dead man's brother." She glanced at Danny, didn't flinch, just sipped her drink. "So, what's your angle?" I slid the flash drive across the table. "This, plus what you've got. It's enough." She scanned the files on her laptop. Her face went pale. "You know what this is?" "No." "This isn't just surveillance. It's a kill list. Atlas wasn't about secrets. It was about erasure. Names, dates, tags. Charlotte's was on there, along with a dozen others we'd thought gone for good. And at the bottom, mine, Jake Jacobson. "I wasn't even in the game," I muttered. "You are now," Danny said quietly. Talia leaned in. "If we leak this, it'll blow up. But only if it looks real." "What do you mean?" "You want the world to believe this? You can't send it anonymously. You go loud, on camera, full name, full story." Danny flinched. That's suicide." "No," I said, "that's war." We staged it 2 days later. A podcast studio Talia used to work for, now underground. No filters, no edits, just me, staring into a lens. "My name is Jake Jacobson. My father is Robert Jacobson, and I have something to say." I told them about Charlotte, about Danny, about Atlas. Every word burned. At the end, I held up a folder. "These are the files, the proof. I don't want your sympathy. I want you to look at who's been running your cities, your companies, your news, and ask, who's next?" We uploaded it, Reddit, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. And then we waited. The first 24 hours were silent. Too silent. Danny paced the room like a caged dog. "They're planning something." I agreed. But we weren't alone anymore. By day 2, 3 whistleblowers came forward, ex-security, ex-staff, ex-clients. Anonymous tips flooded in. And then, the board made a statement. Robert Jacobson was being placed on indefinite leave. They called it internal misconduct. I called it blood in the water. But I knew Dad. This wasn't over. And his next move would be personal. The party was at the Jacobson estate. A fundraiser, sleek, elegant, dripping with masks and manufactured civility. Our father's idea of war was PR in tuxedos. He didn't know we were coming. Danny walked 3 steps behind me, cap low, coat zipped. Talia had prepped a deepfake distraction online, a live Jake Jacobson being interviewed downtown. Meanwhile, the real me strolled into the lion's den with a flash drive taped to the inside of my cufflink. The valet handed me a flute of champagne. I handed him 100 and said, "Tell me when my father steps outside." Inside, the house smelled like old wood and old secrets. People smiled, shook my hand, pretended they didn't see the scandal boiling online. My name had been trending for 2 days, and still, they whispered, "That's the dead brother. That's the one with the files." I found the AV tech booth in the back corridor, 2 kids managing screens and ambient jazz. "Fire code check," I said flatly, flashing an old city badge I forged in high school. They looked panicked. I didn't wait. 5 minutes later, the master projector had a new file queued. All I needed was the cue. The valet returned. "He's on the balcony." Perfect. I found Robert Jacobson with his back to the garden, sipping whiskey like a man untouched by consequence. He turned, smiled. "Jake, my boy." His voice was honey. My stomach turned. "I hear you've been busy," he said. "So much noise for a grieving brother." "Where's Charlotte?" I asked. His smile didn't move. "Gone. Like she was meant to be. Like Danny was supposed to be." I nodded slowly. "You used us. I built you. I gave you a name. And you've dragged it through the mud." "No," I said. "You did that. I'm just holding up a mirror." His eyes flickered. "You think you can kill a legacy?" "No," I said, stepping close. "I'm gonna let you watch it rot." And with that, I tapped my watch twice. Inside, the screen shifted. Jazz died. The ballroom darkened. And then, the video. Charlotte's face, Danny's confessions, my story, the documents, the names, gasps, screams. Someone dropped a glass. People started filming. Our father's mask cracked for the first time in my life. "You little bastard," he hissed. I turned. The crowd behind us had become an ocean of judgment. But I wasn't done. I raised my voice. "This man ran Atlas. He used it to disappear people, including my cousin. He faked my brother's death. He used us, lied to us, and tonight, the world sees it." Danny stepped into the light beside me. The crowd erupted. Robert lunged, not at me, but at Danny. Security tackled him before he got 2 steps, and just like that, the empire began to crumble. I didn't smile. Not yet, because revenge wasn't triumph. It was the start of something darker, something final. There was no trial. He resigned for health reasons. The board spun it as generational change. Media outlets speculated, but no one printed the word murder. Not yet. But everyone knew. Sponsors withdrew. Investors panicked. The Jacobson name became radioactive. One by one, the companies we grew up believing were untouchable began to collapse. Danny disappeared again, this time by choice. No death, no drama, just silence. He said he needed peace. I didn't blame him. Talia stayed in the fight, launching a whistleblower network using the Atlas leaks. She offered me a role. I declined. I wasn't a hero. I was just done being someone else's ghost. The last time I saw our father, he was sitting alone in the conservatory, the house empty, the staff gone. I didn't say a word. Neither did he. Just stared at each other through the glass, like strangers separated by time. Now I live in a small apartment above a bookstore. No security cameras, no headlines, just quiet. And a photo on my desk. Me, Danny, and Charlotte, taken before we knew what people were capable of. Outside, it's snowing. Inside, it's still. The phone rings once, then stops. I don't answer.